I farm with my dad and my brother at Rupanyup. Yeah, we're a 100% cropping operation, and this year we are hoping to put in about 50% cereals and 50% legumes. Growing jumbo lentils and Genesis 090 chickpeas. We run a no-till and control traffic system on our farm. We're set up for 30-foot control traffic with 120-foot sprayer, 15-inch row spacings with our cereals and lentils, and then chickpeas we sow on 30-inch row spacings, which there are a few benefits doing that. Chickpeas are the sort of a plant that can sort of utilise the extra space, and they can sort of grow big enough to compensate for the row spacing in a decent year. And yeah, there are a few benefits with sort of disease suppression, getting a bit of airflow in between the rows, and also it's good with our viewpoint that cultivation or tillage is bad, so the less tines that you have in the ground, obviously the better for the soil it is, and allows us to do a few interesting things with, we can sort of band spray fungicide directly onto the plant. You know, we can shut off every second nozzle and do that to save a bit of chemical, and we have a shield sprayer that we can clean up a few weeds in between the rows, so it just opens up with RTK guidance and the accuracy that brings. It opens up a few interesting things that we can do now that weren't available. Yeah, I think pulses are a pretty flexible crop. I think because of their wide flowering window, it's maybe not as vital to get to target a particular date for flowering, but the last couple of years we've sown lentils quite early, and last year we even sowed them first, so about the beginning of May, which was pretty successful. Last year we were lucky enough not to have any frost damage. We just seemed to miss the frosts during that sort of critical point in the year, which meant they got all of their growing done while they still had moisture and before it got too hot, and I think that maximised the yield for us last year luckily without copping any frost damage. But and yeah, the chickpeas we tend to sow pretty late. They're usually the last thing we sow, sort of at the start of June or the middle of June, and which can sometimes, last year that didn't really do them any favours, because by the time it got warm enough for them to grow, they'd kind of already began to run out of moisture. But sometimes we tend to get thunderstorms come through, you know, in the beginning of November or late October, and when a lot of other crops are sort of finished essentially by then, chickpeas can still make use of that. So it's a bit of risk mitigation, I guess, to have a pretty wide window, and it helps us. We're not set up to be able to sow everything in 2 weeks, so we need to sort of spread things out. And yeah, having lentils or some of the barley varieties that we have mixed with your chickpeas, it allows us to sort of get everything in on time without having to spend a lot of money on machinery. A lot of the time, especially in these poorer years where crops haven't done so well, a lot of the time when we're looking at what crops we'll put in what paddocks, often the amount of stubble that's there and ground cover is sort of the #1 priority for especially putting lentils. We're really reluctant to sow lentils into a paddock that doesn't have a decent stubble there that will sort of protect the crop as it's growing, and especially the stubble acts as a trellis later in the year, which helps harvestability a lot. So that's one of our big priorities when it comes to choosing you know, where we're going to put lentils. Pulses are a pretty big thing for us at the moment. I guess it's pushed mainly, it's mainly due to the high prices we're seeing at the moment, which gives you a little bit more incentive to take those risks. But I think definitely pulses aren't as risky as they used to be in the system that we have now, and yeah, they're not seen to be as risky as they once were. So even in the last couple of years, which were pretty low production years for us, with the prices that we've seen, yeah, lentils have still been some of our most, well, probably the most, you know, profitable crop last year and probably the year before too. So they're not as risky as they used to be, and they're a pretty good thing. We're in a pretty good area. We can grow lentils, and yeah, if you can get a few things right, they can be really good. We're pretty lucky in this area. There are a lot of kind of specialty, you know, pulse markets we can deliver into, or you know, places set up for exporting. So we're only 3 kilometres away from Wimmera Grain Company, which do a lot of pulses, so that's really good for us. And there's a number of others within 50 or 60 kilometres, so that's where the majority of our pulses are delivered to. And yeah, we're set up. We've got enough sort of steel silos, steel storage that we can store pretty much all of our pulses every year at least, and take advantage of some of those other markets, or we're not locked into selling them straight off the header. So yeah, that's definitely helped us in years gone by where prices have been pretty low, and when you can see a lot of upside to a price, we sort of have the ability to hold on to them and yeah, try and hold out until things are a bit better.